Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. Classical music and metal are two genres that I believe are meant to go together, and Rhapsody of Fire is widely seen as one of the pioneers of symphonic metal. Add to that this song has a wizard in it, and also Saruman, Christopher Lee, is going to be singing, so I'm totally hooked. Let's get to it.
In those silent shades of gray, I will find a place to escape the endless night, to find a new sound.
I know it is my fate, bound to aliens old tale. I'll be always there, fighting the ancient sin.
In this eternal
Ooh, I'm excited to hear them sing together. It's really interesting how these two voices have so much contrast, yet somehow they have a lot of similarity as well. Like there's, in their vibrato in particular, I hear a lot of similarity. It's very interesting. It's definitely got that classical vibe, which is really going to work, I think, for the symphonic metal idea. Oh, let's go back to the beginning. Let's talk a little bit about each voice on its own. I just have to say, this beginning gives me total LARPing vibes. Like, I wanna go don a really cool medieval costume and find some great shoes to go with it. It's difficult to find the right shoes for LARPing. Those are like one of the hardest things in the whole outfit to put together. Like the foam swords, those are fun. The shoes are hard to find. Anyhow, okay, back to the beginning. Thank you, Rhapsody, for inspiring my inner nerd.
In those silent shades of gray, I will find a place to escape the endless night, to find a new sound.
So it's so interesting to me to hear his vibrato, because I think that most people in metal or rock would think that he has too much vibrato. It definitely feels a little bit wider, as in like the time between vibratos, so linearly wider, and also the excursion from the pitch further apart. I think that those two things, it's a pretty big vibrato, much more akin to a classical singer than a contemporary singer. But I think it's nice. That's also just because I have a lot of appreciation for different kinds of vibratos, I think. There's like a certain fluffiness to his sound too, with all that airflow, which is a bit surprising because often in classical singing you hear a lot more of a like condensed kind of sound that doesn't let as much air flow through, but that could make a very nice floaty feeling perhaps somewhere later. I especially see that possibly pairing well with Christopher Lee's voice, because it might be able to float on top while he fills out the bottom portion. Another thing is, when I first heard him, I heard scoops into notes quite a bit, and to me, that makes me think, is this singer sloppy? And I don't think he is. I actually think he's very intentional about his scoops. I was listening to it, and the moments when he's playing with pitch into or out of a note, I think he's very, very purposeful. Fabio. I'm going to go back one more time.
In those silent shades of gray,
So on Gray is a good example where it scoops in and then also descends on the way out. I don't think that this is pitch corrected at all. That's the little excursions he's having with the pitch. I think any sort of pitch correction software probably would have tightened those up so we wouldn't hear them quite as much. And I appreciate that they just sound like they're really left there. And I think it's very purposeful that they're left there too. When you think about the expression of the word gray, it makes sense that it would have a little scooping into it and possibly a darkness on the outer portion of it as well.
Silent shades of gray, I will find a place to escape the endless night, to find a new sound.
I kind of dig the accent, actually.
I know it is my fate, bound to Ariel's old tale. I'll be always there, fighting the ancient
Gosh.
sin.
Christopher Lee has such a resonant voice, right? He's got that deep bass voice that we often associate with villains. It's interesting. You see that throughout opera as well. You see it in films. Obviously, in a lot of the roles he's played, that bass voice is part of that villainous character often. But in this, I just love the height in his sound. It sounds like he has so much dome coming up through here. That's part of what makes it so sonorous. And then when he goes up into his top, it's got a very healthy, supported sound too. I'm like, whoa, he's got some major singing chops. Let's go back. They're going to go really well together.
I know it is my fate, bound to Ariel's old tale. I'll be always there, fighting the ancient sin.
Wow. Also, his sound does have that like more pressed kind of condensed character to it that feels a little more operatic to me.
Fighting the ancient sin.
That's pretty. Whoa. Fabio sounds totally different there. Totally different. He has lost that fluffy edge and it's just gone for absolute laser beam. It's got so much power and it's got that more pressed sound there as well. Wow. Whoa. That's crazy powerful. I wouldn't have expected his voice to be able to do both styles so distinctly. Wow. Wow, but the vibrato still has a similar frequency going on with it. So both are still really well produced, know how to relax and just vibrato away. I'm gonna go back. So interesting on that too. If you listen to the places where both of them are breathing, they're not breathing at the same time. It definitely sounds like Christopher Lee has more of a narration approach. I just can't see or hear him and not think Saruman. It's amazing. And then Fabio is really going for these really long phrases. He's thinking this way, just totally horizontal, whereas Christopher Lee feels a lot more vertical in his delivery. So far, they've just been singing in parallel octaves, so we don't really have any true harmony going on. These are the same letter pitches, just with different numbers after them, essentially. And it's really, a lot of times when you're singing with somebody else, you plan out where you're going to take your breaths together. So I think it's fascinating that they've left each voice so individual, saying, yes, Christopher Lee, he's taking essentially twice as many breaths as Fabio is here. I'm guessing that's very intentional as well, especially hearing him in that first solo part. He doesn't sound like he would necessarily need them, but he's going after delivering more storyline, which might require more breathing. Okay, let's go back and keep going.
In the misty lights of dawn, between heart and soul, Elga's calling for me to avoid our fall.
It's so amazing to hear him in this fluffy sound. This to me feels like it's very head voice for him, not necessarily falsetto. It feels light, but not detached to me. It's so interesting hearing him here right after hearing that belty portion where he's singing with the whole ensemble. It's just radically different. I would even imagine that the mic distance choice between these two styles would be vastly different. With this one, it feels like it's a more intimate sound. You would be a lot closer to the microphone. But when you're singing more belty, you tend to back up. If you watch a singer with a handheld mic that is going to go between a quiet, intimate sound and a belty sound, often you'll see quiet sound is like right here, and the other sound is going to be way out there, right? That happens quite a bit, but even more so for singers that are going full opera, because opera singers are trained to project their sound to these huge auditoriums without any sort of amplification. And that means that their consonants are like spitty with lots of air puffs, which doesn't bode well for microphones. So you tend to have microphones placed particularly far away from a full blowing opera singer, right? That's just, you gotta have that mic far away or you're gonna get all kinds of pops and distortion and you're gonna blow a microphone. So in this case, I think that they've shifted the microphone in the recording process quite a bit as well. And I don't know if I'd heard these two voices or his two styles in different settings. I don't know that I would have thought it was the same singer. Back a little bit.
Between heart and soul, Elga's calling for you to avoid our fall.
I know it is my fate, bound to aliens hold till I'll be always there, fighting the ancient sin.
He sounds so heroic there. I'm like, oh, I know you're very villainous in your timbre and bassiness, but the way he goes up and the way he hooks into his support especially, I feel like he's about to like go conquer something, but in a good way and be heroic.
I know it is my fate, bound to aliens hold till I'll be always there.
I like this, like, oh, sorry. R.I.P. Christopher Lee. I like the way he does these like toss-offs of the final notes in a couple spots. I'll show you where.
I know it is my fate.
So on the end of Fate, he does a little slide off of it.
I know it is my fate.
There.
Bound to aliens hold
coming up again. There. So on Fate and there, Christopher Lee does these little holler toss-offs. And it feels, there's something about that feels epic to me. It's so floaty and pretty when Fabio goes up there. Really, really lovely. And I like the extension of the harmony as well. Dude, that's so high. I'm just singing. Man, he's going up to a D5 there. For those of you who get really excited about numbers attached to letters, I think he's going up to a D5 in full. He's not flipping over to falsetto at all. Whoa, whoa. Like that's high. That's high to be belting. Especially with that super powerful sound that he's got going on. I think he's been super smart about, as he's gone up, he's sort of leaned the sound up a little bit. That makes it easier to go higher and higher and higher without having to turn over registers. Also, check out both of them. It's important to use your hands when you sing. I know your hands don't have vocal folds in them, but using your hands in the movement that requires that can help you engage some rib cage within the whole mesh, and then you can get a little more breath support too. If you go out like that, it helps keep those ribs expanded. It also can just help visualize some of the expression. I would look at Dimash Kudaibergen for that. He's very painty with his hands and has incredible expression to go with it as well. So anyhow, if you're a singer or you're wanting to be a better singer, use your hands more. Check out their hands. They're all very expressive. Also, he goes out like this. That's to help with the support. Like even there, you have Fabio holding on to the note a lot longer. I think it feels more like two individuals singing together rather than a duet, so to say, because of the choices of where they're going to be cutting things off. I like the broad strokes. My gosh, they're like, that wasn't enough. We should do that high note again. Oh man, you only got so many high notes. Ooh, there's like I'm not sure which singer that was in the background. I think that sounded a little bit like Christopher Lee. There's that extra layer in there. Interesting. Wow, that's a good note. Wow. Refined by dark Saruman. Nice. I love those sweeping long phrases. It's got a melody that is repeated over and over because it's a good melody, right? And both voices sound very nice on this melody as well. This is a lovely introduction. And I gotta say, I'm surprised that Christopher Lee is such a great singer. And then I'm also doubly surprised because I feel like I got two voices from Fabio that were both very exquisite sounds. So I'd love to hear more. If you would like to check out some other duets on this channel, I'll make up a playlist over here. And may you fall more in love with music every day.